Hello, class. This is Dr. B for Social Work 502, Summer of 2023, Week 4 check-in. And I've been feeling a little under the weather this week, so I apologize if my voice comes in and out throughout this video. So, want to talk a little bit about your Week 3 discussions and what's happening here for week 4 on depressive, mood, and bipolar disorders. So I think that overall everyone did a good job on their week 3 discussion on trauma and anxiety and understanding what is the difference between the everyday anxieties that and stressors that we experience and when anxiety can become a disorder, right? When there is significant disruption in an individual's life due to that anxiety, their ability to function, their ability to address their tasks of daily living, those sort of things. And for the small group conversation, I think I'm glad that you all as I read everyone's reflections on that, on the conversation that they had with their group members, it seemed that everybody took the opportunity to discuss both the benefits and some of the things that we must be cautious about in terms of using or understanding the DSM. And definitely overdiagnosing was a concern that many of you brought up, and it is a concern in our field and one that has significant merit. Also, Francis talks about, and several of you mentioned, it's an ethical responsibility that we have, and that if we are not 100% sure, that it is better to underdiagnose than to overdiagnose because of the long-term potential consequences of a incorrect diagnosis. Some of you made some really good points about the importance of understanding trauma and the impact that trauma has on an individual before diagnosing somebody with any of the disorders that we see in the DSM-5 TR. And there were several of the groups talked about the stressors of, the sort of system that we have where we have less resources than we need. And in order to make a reliable, ethical, competent diagnosis, we need all the resources that we can get. And instead, we sometimes work in agencies that are understaffed, underpaid, and so therefore there's not the resources necessary to be able to really for a good assessment to be done so that we get a good diagnosis. So I think you all did a really good job on that discussion. For week 4, we're talking about depression, mood, and bipolar disorders. And there is, of course, the week 4 discussion on depression and mania, as well as the week 4 discussion on the week 3 quiz reflection. If you look up here, this is an example of the week 3 quiz that you all submitted on Sunday that I am in the process of grading. You should see your own individual grade for the quiz here in the next few days. But in the meantime, you are to look at this example to be able to answer this week 4 discussion. And so I have published the example of the assessment of Anita. And by Sunday, please complete an initial post discussing the similarities and differences between the example that I've shared with you and your own submission, quiz submission in week 3. What did you learn from this process? What questions do you have about this process? You are not required, but you are more than welcome to respond to any of your classmates. And this is due, this initial post is due on Sunday of this week. For the week 4 discussion on depression and mania, you're being asked to complete the readings and watch the videos that are assigned for week 4. And the Anita case, we're back to the Anita case. You can click on this and it'll take you to this shared case example. And you want to list her risk factors for developing depression and suicide. Citing and referencing one or more videos, describe why you think Anita is at risk for developing depression and or suicide. And then 3, using the DSM and the Francis text, review the Anita depression example below for presenting the DSM-5 symptoms supported by behavioral manifestation, signs, and symptoms. Using the DSM-5, make a list of the criteria for mania and support the criteria by stating, next to the criteria, which of Anita's behavioral manifestation, signs, symptoms are evidence of mania, and does she meet the DSM-5 criteria for bipolar 1 or bipolar 2 disorder, and explain your rationale using the DSM criteria. So when it says using the DSM-5, make a list of the criteria, make sure that you go and put criteria A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then next to each of those where, criteria A1, this is, give an example of Anita's behavioral manifestation, signs, and symptoms that are examples or could be examples of that particular criterion and number. If it does not apply, then you would just say no symptoms for this particular criteria number. Okay? Vignet, Clinical Vignet Part 1 is due this Sunday as well. So please, if you have not already done so, make sure to review the assignment guidelines, including, the rubric, so that you're sure that you have included everything that is required for this assignment. I have videos on the assignment guidelines where I go over for each of the assignments, and in it I go over the Clinical Vignet Part 1 in great detail. So I posted those earlier this semester, and if you have not already done so, please make sure to review my videos or to watch my videos and review the assignment guidelines. If you have any questions, please submit them before Friday at before 5 p.m. So that I can make sure that I answer you before this is due on Sunday. Also, for those groups that are doing their week 5 condition presentations, and those would be week 5 gender dysphoria group, Justin and Jasmine. For week 5 neurodevelopmental disorders, Aubrey, Blair, and Amy. And week 5 eating disorders, Hannah, Caitlin, and Kaylee. Please make sure that by Sunday of this week, you have submitted your week 5 condition presentation. This is very important so that we are able to, and you would post them here. So make sure you would post them here under week 5, but make sure to do so by this coming Sunday to give your classmates an opportunity to review them before they have to do a discussion post, on Thursday. All right. So as you can see, you'll be doing discussion posts on each of the presentations. Okay. If your group is, let's say you are Justin or Jasmine, who are the gender dysphoria group, then you would only upload, your only requirement is to upload the presentation and then that's it. They don't have to respond to the week 5 discussion on gender dysphoria. They would respond to the eating disorders and the neurodevelopmental disorders. And, so that's, so you're only responding to the discussion posts that are from your classmates. You're not responding to your own groups. You don't need to work on your own groups, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, there's also mid-semester evaluation that you can click on here and complete. That's all for now. One of the things I just wanted to also mention is that please make sure that you submit your discussion post, the initial post, and the response post by the due dates and times. Unless otherwise stated, all initial posts are due on the Thursday of the week in which they are assigned, and responses are due by the Sunday of the week in which they were assigned. So initial post by Thursday of the week in which they were assigned, response post by the Sunday of the week in which they were assigned, both by 11:59 p.m. at the latest, because if not, you will lose points for that, okay? And so you look at the rubric so you can see how many points are assigned to that. Also, if it says to respond to at least one classmate, please do that. Failure to do so will result in losing points for that discussion post, which in the long run can make a difference in your overall grade. So be aware of that. I do, take off points for late submissions and or for not responding to your classmates as per the assignment guidelines. And I do that across the board to be fair to the class. All right, so as I said, make sure that you look at the assignment guidelines videos for, the videos that I posted, as well as the assignment guidelines for the clinical Vignet Part 1, which is due this Sunday, and for those groups that have their presentations in week 5, you must submit them by this Sunday of week 4. All right, take care. Oh, and just really quickly, the videos for the introduction to course and assignment videos are under the week 1 module, and you can see them all right here. They're each approximately 15 minutes. You just have to click on the link and it'll take you straight to the YouTube video. Please make sure to watch them if you have not done so already. All right, and as I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please make sure to email me before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, the 2nd, to make sure that I answer your questions as the assignments as the Clinical Vignet 1 and the major presentation, the condition presentations for 3 groups are due on Sunday. All right, take care.